My parents forged my signature and removed me from my grandmother's will, thinking I'd never notice because I was always the quiet one. They erased my name from the deed to the house she intended for me, fabricated my consent, convinced my sister, and assumed I'd stay silent since I never stirred trouble. But this time I refused to stay quiet. This time I became the hurricane they never expected. My name's Emily, and I'm 29 years old. If you met my family, I'd probably blend into the background at first. If you asked them about me, they'd say something like, "She's reserved, keeps to herself." Or worse, "She doesn't ask for much." Sounds innocent, doesn't it? Like I'm the easygoing one, the daughter who doesn't demand attention. The one who never makes waves. But let me ask you this, what happens to the child who never causes a fuss? They fade away. That's how it's always been for me. My younger sister, Ashley, is the star of the show. Everyone says she lights up any room. When she cries, the world bends over backward to comfort her. When she changes her hairstyle, it's a family celebration. When I graduated college while balancing 3 jobs, nobody even glanced up from their screens. I used to think it was my fault. Maybe I wasn't charming enough. Maybe I wasn't outgoing enough. Maybe I just didn't sparkle the way they wanted. I can't pinpoint when I stopped trying to be noticed, but I know exactly when I started paying attention. I began noticing patterns. How Ashley could mess up and be coddled, while my biggest achievements were met with silence. How her birthdays became grand events while mine were forgotten twice. And still I stayed quiet, dependable, present, until the day I learned something that made my blood run cold. They were selling the house, my grandmother's house, the one she left to both of us in her will. But when I checked the documents, my name was gone. I didn't yell. I didn't break down. I closed my laptop, stood up, and decided this time I wouldn't let it go. If they wanted to treat me like a ghost, I'd show them what happens when a ghost steps into the light. I wasn't always invisible, or at least I don't think I was. I have faint memories, like snapshots, of my mom combing my hair before school or my dad cheering when I nailed dinosaur at the 2nd grade spelling bee. But they're hazy, like a dream you can't quite hold on to. By the time Ashley was born, I was 6, old enough to notice the shift. It started subtly. Her midnight cries meant my bed got moved to the hallway to keep the nursery quieter. When she had a fever, the house went into lockdown. When I caught the flu, I got a soda and a pat on the back with a "you'll be fine, kid." I adapted as kids do. I stopped asking for things. I stopped being a burden. I became helpful, quiet, predictable. They loved it. "She's so self-sufficient," my dad would say, like I was a model employee. "You're our easy one," my mom once told me. "Thank goodness for you." I smiled back then, thinking it made me special. But being the easy one doesn't make you special, it makes you forgettable. Ashley was everything I wasn't. Chaotic, loud, captivating. Her tantrums ended with ice cream. She broke a neighbor's window and was praised for her spirit. I lost a library book once and was grounded for 3 weeks. I kept my head down, got good grades, stayed silent. And they rewarded me for it by acting like I didn't exist. When I got into NYU, I announced it at dinner. Ashley had just gotten her driver's permit, waving it around like a trophy. The whole night became about her. No one asked what I'd study. It was never brought up again. I didn't cry. Instead, I took a second job to cover the deposit. When I moved out, nobody helped me pack. Ashley had cheer tryouts, my mom was busy with salon appointments, and my dad sent a text. "Best of luck, kid." That was it. College was the first time I felt like I could breathe. People listened when I spoke. Professors noticed me. Friends invited me out. Roommates asked about my life. It was overwhelming, honestly, to be seen. I called home every Sunday out of duty. They'd ask, "How's school?" I'd start to answer, but then Ashley joined a sorority, got a new boyfriend, or dyed her hair pink, and my words became white noise. By my junior year, I stopped calling. When I graduated summa cum laude, I mailed the announcement. 1 envelope, no reply. Ashley was on a graduation trip to Cabo, plastered all over social media. So I stopped expecting anything. I filled the voids myself. Holidays, I worked overtime. Birthdays, I bought myself a cupcake and lit a candle. When I got a promotion, I celebrated with my cat. But here's what nobody tells you about being the strong one. Eventually, they stop checking on you because they assume you're always fine. Ashley could flunk a class, and it was a family emergency. I could get promoted twice in a year and hear nothing but crickets. The only person who ever truly saw me was my grandmother. She was quiet like me, gentle, observant, with a sharp mind behind her soft eyes. She was the only one who remembered my birthday without a reminder. The only one who asked questions and actually listened to my answers. When I told her about my promotion, she teared up and said, "They don't see you, but I do." She was the first to say it out loud. She passed away 2 years later. At the funeral, everyone showed up in muted grays, crying like it was a stage play. My dad delivered a speech that sounded like it came from a greeting card. Ashley sobbed dramatically, her mascara streaking, and people rushed to comfort her like she was the star of the show. I sat in the third row, hands clasped, tears silent. My grandmother left us her house, the one with the green shutters and the creaky porch swing. She said it was for both of us, Ashley and me, split evenly. I saw the will. But last month I overheard something that turned my stomach. Ashley was showing a friend pictures of a remodel, new countertops, hardwood floors, a walk-in closet. "It's all mine," she said breezily. "We listed Emily as opting out of the inheritance, made things simpler." I laughed, thinking it was a joke, then I checked the county records. My name was gone, I hadn't opted out. I hadn't even been told. That was the moment, the breaking point, the spark hitting dry tinder. I wasn't just the overlooked daughter anymore. I was the erased one, silenced, and I was done playing that part. I didn't confront them right away. People like me who have been ignored their whole lives learn to bide their time. We observe. We gather evidence while everyone else forgets we're even there, so I waited. I smiled through family group texts where Ashley shared renovation ideas like she was a design influencer. I nodded along to my mom's offhand remarks like, "You never wanted a big house, right?" Or, "Not having the house must be a relief." I never said those things. What I had said months earlier was that I was too busy at work to think about moving right now. That single comment had apparently become their excuse to pretend I didn't exist. Fine. If they wanted to play that game, I could play too, but I'd play smarter, not louder. I started with the will. My grandmother's lawyer was retired but still sharp as ever. He remembered me. I drove to his small office on the outskirts of town, where he rummaged through a file cabinet older than the internet. When he found the will, he frowned. "She was explicit," he said. 50-50 between you and your sister. Can I get a certified copy?" I asked. He nodded. "You'll need it." Next, I went to the county clerk's office, acting casual, like I was just curious about the property records. The clerk handed me the title history with a polite smile. And there it was. My name had been removed. The date, 2 months after my grandmother's death, signed, witnessed, processed, but the signature wasn't mine. It was my name, but not my handwriting, not even close. My hands went cold as I stared at the paper. They didn't just forget me, they forged my consent. I walked out of the office trembling, not with fear, but with a slow-burning fury, the kind that builds after years of being crushed underfoot. This wasn't just favoritism anymore, it was fraud. And that changed everything. The next day, I called a lawyer named Dana, calm, precise, no nonsense, the kind of person who could unravel a family legacy with a single letter. She reviewed my documents without flinching. "They're betting you wouldn't notice, or if you did, you wouldn't fight back." "They're wrong," I said. "Good," she replied, handing me a stack of forms. "Let's make them see you." We filed a formal title dispute and requested a forensic handwriting analysis. I signed affidavits, authorized contact with the will's attorney, and gave Dana permission to subpoena communications if necessary. She moved quickly, quietly, and with deadly precision. Then came the hardest part, waiting, not screaming, not blasting them in the group chat, not texting Ashley something reckless at 2 a.m. I stayed silent. I wanted them to feel safe for just a little longer. I wanted Ashley to keep posting her paint samples online. I wanted my parents to keep sending emails about investment opportunities tied to a house they no longer fully owned. I wanted them to have no clue the ground was already shifting beneath them. 3 weeks later, the first letters went out. A cease and desist to my parents, one to Ashley, another to their real estate agent. The calls started the next day. I didn't pick up. Instead, I sat in my apartment with a glass of wine, watching voicemails pile up. First my mom, then my dad, then Ashley. Her message was a performance of confusion. "Emily, hey, we didn't think you'd care about the house. You always said you didn't need it. Why are you doing this?" I didn't reply, not yet. That afternoon, the forensic analyst called. "It's not your handwriting," he said matter-of-factly. "It doesn't even match older samples. Looks like someone copied your name from an old document and tried to mimic it." He paused. "They weren't careful. They didn't think anyone would check." "They were half right," I said. "Until now." I sent the results to Dana. The next letter was a formal demand to restore my name to the title with a warning that we could pursue criminal charges. Dana crafted every sentence like a scalpel. The day it landed in their inboxes, everything went quiet. No calls, no texts, no updates about Ashley's new countertops, just silence, and I liked it that way. It was a Sunday when it happened, a quiet, ordinary day. I was cleaning out my fridge when the buzzer rang. I didn't recognize the number and ignored it. It buzzed again. Then a text lit up my phone. "We're downstairs." "Can we talk?" It was my mom. I froze. I hadn't seen them in person since the funeral, where everything felt stiff and performative. I considered ignoring them, but I wasn't hiding anymore, so I went downstairs. They stood by the curb, my mom in her oversized sunglasses trying to look composed, my dad rigid like he'd forgotten how to move, and Ashley leaning against the car, arms crossed, looking inconvenienced. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. "We didn't know," my mom started, her voice shaky. "About the paperwork, we didn't realize someone forged." "You signed it," I cut in, my voice steady. "All of you," she flinched. "It was just we thought it'd be simpler for everyone." "Simpler," I echoed. "Simpler to act like I don't exist?" Ashley jumped in. "You were never around, Emily. You moved away, you stopped coming home, you made it clear you didn't want to be part of this." "No," I said, calm but firm. "I stopped coming home because home stopped including me." They didn't respond right away. My dad cleared his throat. "This doesn't have to turn into a legal battle. We're still family." I looked at him. "When did you start treating me like family?" He didn't answer. My mom reached out like she might touch my arm, but I stepped back, just enough to set a boundary. "You didn't just overlook me," I said. "You rewrote the story and cut me out." "We thought you'd be fine," my mom said quietly. "You always are." That was the line, the one that broke something inside me. Because that's what it always came down to, wasn't it? I was strong, so they didn't have to care. I was steady, so they poured their energy into the chaos instead. I was quiet, so they took my silence for agreement. "I'm not here for apologies," I said. "I don't need them, and I wouldn't believe them anyway." Ashley scoffed. "So what's this about? The house? The money?" I met her eyes. "It's about the fact that I exist, and I'm not letting you erase me again." My dad let out a sharp breath like my words had hit him. "Good," my mom's lips quivered. "We didn't think you'd fight like this." "I know," I said. The silence hung heavy after that. Then I turned and walked back to my building. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I knew they were watching. And for the first time in a long time, I was okay with that. After the confrontation, the silence grew heavier. No word from them for nearly a week. No texts, no emails, no surprise visits. Part of me waited for someone to say, "You're right, we messed up." But it never came, because people like them don't apologize, they strategize. The next call wasn't from my parents, it was from Dana. "They've hired a lawyer," she said. "They're not brushing this off anymore." I closed my eyes, letting it sink in. "What's next?" "It means they're taking you seriously," she said. "Finally." We filed a formal challenge to restore my legal stake in the property. The handwriting experts submitted their affidavit. Dana prepared a petition for damages related to fraud and loss of my share. It got their attention. The house was pulled from the market within 48 hours. Suddenly, they weren't pretending I didn't exist. They were treating me like a threat. Honestly, that felt like a step forward. 2 days later, a local reporter emailed me. Someone had tipped them off about the title dispute. They were writing a piece on inheritance fraud and family manipulation in estate cases. Would I talk? I didn't answer right away. I sat with it for hours. The old instinct kicked in: stay quiet, don't make waves, keep it private. But then I remembered, they made this public. They just didn't expect me to step into the spotlight. So I agreed anonymously. The article went live the next week, clean, professional, a bit dry, but it spread. Comments flooded in, stories from others who'd been sidelined in inheritances, called greedy for speaking up, or watched siblings take everything while being applauded. I wasn't alone. Far from it. The next surprise was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone and almost didn't answer. But something told me to check. It was my aunt, my dad's sister. We hadn't spoken in years, not out of bad blood, just distance. Family gatherings stopped after my grandmother's death, and no one bothered to reconnect. But there she was, holding a folder, her eyes heavy with something like remorse. "Can I come in?" she asked. I nodded. She sat at my kitchen table, looking uncomfortable. She set the folder down. "I read the article," she said, "and I want you to know I believe you." I blinked. "Okay." "And more than that," she went on, "I've seen it for years, how your parents treat you, how Ashley's always been their focus.